Let's talk about the AES, or the Alliance of Sahel States. Now, they have officially merged into a confederacy and truly making inroads to decolonize and to put the brakes on Western imperialism within their countries. They have stated that they will move to a federation from a confederacy to a federation. So a federation would be like the Russians, which have a federation. It's or the United States, which is a federation, meaning a federal government, federal system. So the moves that the AES is doing, especially with the young president Ibrahim Traore, I am the more and more I pay attention to him, the more and more I am impressed. I would give him a jumping applause, and for his understanding, for his wisdom, his growing intellect, his intellectual and emotional maturity, and the people who surround him in helping him to administer to the needs of Burkina Faso, the people. Because if you listen to him, he clearly understands that he is just a representative, an avenue for the people who are Burkina Faso, who are the country. There's been a few things that may or may not be a factor, or I mean, not a fact, but a fact is that there was talk about on some of these channels that I've been paying attention to lately about African geopolitics and politics, and that the AES will create maybe a floating presidency, and they even put in something like a monarchy. Now that doesn't sound right from what I've understood about Ibrahim Traore. That just doesn't jive. Not with his critical understanding. I really wish I had the I had the money and finances to go and follow him and the other fully backed representatives of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and cover that in detail. It's interesting because a lot of the stuff that I talk about in my videos, Ibrahim Traore basically is articulating what I've been saying in a lot of my videos. What's absolutely brilliant and wonderful is the fact that Ibrahim is 34 or 35 years old, and so that's I'm in my 50s, and I didn't really start to really dig into the actual histories and the true realities until I was in my 40s. The thing is like growing up, even in my even in my adolescent, teenage years, even then, I had this niggling and nagging things that just didn't make sense. Of course, I didn't really understand because I didn't know the history. And later on, I was working a lot of hours, hurting myself physically and emotionally and intellectually, and then there's the trauma of my earlier years, when I was from toddler age on, before I was adopted, and then facing more future trauma, and other irritations and angers, and so and really not really being able to integrate because the I didn't I really didn't get the support because the people that adopted me had the inherited the cyclical inherited understanding of their it's a false understanding of what their so-called culture, their U.S. or Western tradition. There was embedded ignorance, as well as not having a will or a drive to actually look into their into their traditions and their cultures. It was a ignorance based on basically full-blown lies, myths, and illusions. This is something that Ibrahim Traore is going full bore into blowing away these myths and illusions. He's working to take out the animalistic complacency built on ignorance, and trying to broaden and awaken consciousness, real consciousness, not this this fantasy of consciousness. And I've said this before, and the thing is, the word nigger, basically, if you look in the dictionary, it's basically means ignorance. And I've commented about how, this whole idea of taking this ignorance and using the word nigger to apply as some sort of badge of honor and or whatever. It's more than silly. It's dangerous, because the only true niggers, okay, the only true niggers and the only true Negroes are basically the European, the white European, or the Caucasian, or whatever you want to call it, and it's their descendants. The only true radical terrorism which is ingrained, passed on through the generations, are the descendants of the Europeans, are the Europeans themselves. That is the only, and I said this before, that is the only thing that really trickles down from the so-called leadership in the West, in the U.S., in the West. The there's a similarity with the Japanese. It's a small minority who control everything, from the books that are written to the people who are supposed to be the most knowledgeable, to the media, to the education. It's the same damn dynamic, and it's something that it goes back thousands of years. The Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire. It's to the British Empire, to the U.S. Empire. I mean, it's the same playbook over and over and over and over, and it's reinforced generation after generation. It is inbred ignorance, and the way you do it is through manipulating your so-called public. It's to control and direct. It's to put you on strings and becoming a puppet. It's to the point where like the Romans had compradors, people that were basically puppets. The Egyptians and many of these Arab and North Africans, they did that. They did financial and monetary manipulation. They did trade manipulation. They did mass murder and slaughter and genocide. Same with the Greek. In the West, we're taught that the Greeks were the ones that created, came up with the brilliance of democracy. Except that new evidence is showing that they didn't even know about democracy. Matter of fact, democracy was a concept that was actually learned during the colonial period in the so-called Americas. It's they term the term indigenous, and what is it they use for Australia? I can't think of it, but it's the Australian indigenous. There's a word. It's all. These are concepts and ideas that basically it means other. They made through the Balfour Declaration and all this other stuff to say, oh, Palestine was an empty land, virtually empty land. The Africans are savages and barbarians. Even in the Western history, it's like during the Roman Empire, it was like you had these barbarians at the gate. It's like the same. The reason why the Romans had the barbarians at the gate was because the Romans were doing the exact same thing that they're doing today, that they've done always. They make the ones they rule over, whether they during feudal times or the so-called capitalist period, or the industrial. They're basically the same. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. You can call it a democracy or a republic. They're all fucking. There's a small handful of rulers, and they rule and they don't need to be in. They don't need to be in front of cameras. They don't need to, do the democratic thing, to be, to be the mouthpieces, to be the ones that facilitate their rule. It has always been the case. You don't need to. You don't need to. It's like that Wizard of Oz. It's the man behind the curtains. Well, and the thing is there's plenty of evidence during the other empires that they may not have been as numerous, but there's plenty of evidence where so-called women were also the ones behind the power. But obviously, even up to today, think about we used to when we talked about a group of people that were mixed gender, we used to call them people, or persons, Now it's from decades of them constantly going through the media, from movies to TV shows and articles. I've been using guys as if, and if you look at the dictionary definition of what guys and guys stand for, it has to do with maleness. Yet, these are the things. People that are as old as me understand this. But so you can. That's just a definition of what. That's just an example of what the media and how it bleeds down and even warps our own language and understand it. And the fact that all your schooling can go out the window, and the schooling becomes bastardized, and doesn't clarify. This is what is happening, and the AES. I absolutely love it because the accepted leadership of the AES understands this, especially Ibrahim, and so I have nothing but respect for them, and what's happening in Kenya, what's happening in Nigeria. So not Niger. So Niger, when they talk about Niger, and they want to talk about in plurals, they'll call it Nigerian. But it's Niger they're talking about. Then there's Nigeria, which is actually another country in West Africa, which is, by the way, it goes to show you how criminality isn't an obstacle to being accepted as the democratically elected leader. I mean, Bola Tinubu, whatever, of the president of Nigeria. This guy has an actual criminal warrant out of Chicago, U.S., for drug trafficking and financial crimes. Now, this isn't, one of those where they make a claim now or an accusation. There actually is physical and real evidence showing that this guy's a drug trafficker and he's a financial criminal. Yet, somehow, this financial criminal, this drug trafficker, okay, is the president of Nigeria. Okay? Think about that. Think about that. And then this Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Boom Boom Marcos Jr., okay? His father was a criminal as well as a vicious, murderous dictator. And somehow, and he was overthrown, and somehow Marcos Jr. Is the president of the Philippines. That's a head scratcher. And it's not like Ferdinand Marcos, everything that's said about him isn't proven from history. So I don't, and that once again, that goes to show the ignorance which is seeded, that doesn't allow you to retain this. That means that goes to show you how the education that should be foremost to clear away the ignorance, and how people just take how people can take just the take the words and not the evidence. From Ferdinand Marcos being a vicious, murderous dictator who was also stealing money and stashing it away, and so on and so forth. And the fact that Marcos Jr. Grew up under the influence of his criminal parents, and and the fact that such wealth it would be in his stolen wealth, and blood money would be a inheritance, and that his inheritance is held in the held where the U.S. and the West have control. So again, this takes place over and over and over again. I mean, never mind. Let's talk about Argentina. Okay, the whitest European descendant occupied territory in the Americas. It's no wonder they have such superior racist ideology down there. Why the uniforms of their so-called military is based on European, it's absolutely outrageous. So what needs to take place is this critical understanding, and that if you don't know what's taking place, even by your so-called ethno group, you're basically fucking yourself. You're basically fucking yourself over, because these the ones that control the money, the finances, the economy, the means of production, the industry, the education, the healthcare. They the captains of industry, whatever you want to call it. They're gonna fuck you over. It doesn't matter. They don't care. Okay, they'll just give you lip service. They don't care. And if they allow somebody who's not ethno-European or not the so-called skin color, the plain fact of the matter is it's because these people are able and willing to only look out for their own self-interest, and they'll do and say whatever is expected of them. William Ruto, prime case in Kenya, the so-called president of Kenya, where there's massive protests against him. Africa is a continent which has the largest number of young people. And this is popping up more and more. Nigeria is the same way. They call it Gen Z, and Gen Z is rising up. It started in Kenya and it's spreading into Ghana, Nigeria, and other places. But the one that's really ahead is the AES, and they truly understand this. And one of the things that we in the West should understand is that all these so-called borders that are within in West Asia or / Middle East, or in Africa, or in South America and Central America, wherever the colonial rampage and slaughter and genocide took place, that supplanted the people and took over and still continue to do the slow motion genocide and eradication of culture and seeding the disease of Western culture and tradition. It's a destructive force everywhere. All it creates is an imbalance, instability, loss of security, making it more difficult for people in general, with only with a shrinking number of so-called citizens who have a semblance of stability and security. Where the mass of the population keeps going down and down and down to the bottom. And this is why China is important, for, being the manufacturing center of the world, because they are the Chinese are deflating costs to the public, and this is why the Western ruling model is extract. Doesn't matter what the cost to their own so-called public, their own citizens is. Extract. Get more control. Because one thing they understand is you don't need 50%, 60%, 70%, or even 75%, or even 80% of the public, of your population. All you need is 10 to 20% of the public who can become the most radicalized, the most violent, who can be manipulated and pointed and targeted. That's how they operate, because they don't need that. You only need 10% or even less to create something like that's exactly what happened in in Nazi Germany. They didn't have the overwhelming majority of people in the beginning. They just needed a small core of really radical and violent people who could be pointed and say, "Oh, go after them. Use this, use that to," and then at the same time radicalize others. Lie your ass off. That's how it works. So when you come to understand, like I have, you come to understand that you can't talk about community, you can't talk about all that and your values. When you come to understand that, you just need a small number of people to keep the vast majority down. So, and that's what the AES is doing. They're making sure that it's the opposite. The vast majority is to keep the ones who are most susceptible, the easiest to rile up, to be the most violently and radically reactionary, and the good little guard dogs and attack dogs. That's what it basically comes down to. It's a Pied Piper strategy. For the getting the small numbers to become the most radical, viciously radical, and violently radical. That's what the AES is working towards. Eliminating the chances of that, and the only way you can do that is to wipe away the ignorance. It's to work on collective understanding, to not only understand but to make it understood that within a collectivist framework, that is the way towards security and stability. That is the way to progress. That is the way towards the freedoms, the liberties, freedom, liberty, and justice, and all that other stuff. That's what's important about the AES, the Alliance of Sahel States, and that's what leadership of Ibrahim Traore and the others. I can't remember the Tiani, although the way it's spelled, it sounds like Tiffany, but that they pronounce it Tiani, and Goita, but then the some of the spelling, especially if it comes from the westernized way they pronounce things, it just doesn't make any sense. It's an important movement, and I'm all I can say is that I fervently wish for this awakening to rapidly cover the continent of Africa, to extend into the West Asia and Middle East. I wanted to be the trigger that will unite all of the traditional victims of colonial imperialism and neo-colonial legacy. I want to get it to the point where the West understands that their maliciously and malevolent agenda is no longer acceptable, and that this will awaken the citizens and the public and populations of the West to come to understand and get the awakening, and that's the only pathway to peace. And cooperation and collaboration, and that will bring us and progress us forward, and so that we can focus on bettering ourselves materially, intellectually, emotionally, and and broaden our individual and collective aspirations, and widen the scope of our interests, so that we can be proactive, and we can look forward to a brighter future for ourselves collectively around the world, and to the point where someday in the future, nation states will disappear, and we can truly come under the banner of we are people of Terra, or planet Earth, because that we are we share a commonality, a common future, and that the preservation of the Earth, named Terra, is in line with our reasoned and reasonable progress, and understand that the planet is the womb from which we are brought to life and given a chance. That is my hope, and but at the same time, I gotta tell you, the rulers of the West are the most nefarious, vile, treasonous, treacherous, sadistic, horrific beings in existence. They are a threat globally to themselves, as well as to us, and then even to themselves. That's simply the truth. And if we can come to understand that, and we can look behind all these fabricated mythology and illusions and this fantasy, and that we all come down to a simple factor that, hey, don't come punch me and say I'm the aggressor.